Your words form your reality. You see all of this stuff online about your thoughts dictate your life and what you say comes into existence. But our thoughts are so powerful, it creates a whirlwind in our life. If every single day you're putting out an energy, I want you to imagine that your thoughts are a satellite going out into the world, and all you're putting out there is you're not worthy of success, you're not worthy of love, you're hated, you're being so negative and so much self-hatred towards yourself. That is what you're putting out into the world, and that is how you're going to feel. That is how your life is going to look, and that is what your life is going to look like. I thought this was nonsense when I first heard it years and years and years ago, until I started to understand that, hold on a second, there's actually some meaning behind this. Until I started to change the words that I used, until I started to change the thoughts and catch my thoughts when they were being negative, and really start to streamline and bring into alignment exactly all of these small details. Because you would see so many successful people talking about this and using this. There must be something behind it, otherwise they wouldn't waste their time, because they, of all people, know how valuable time is. I look back at my life and I start to think about some of the lies that I told when I was younger growing up that actually became reality. And it's crazy, it's literally crazy that what we think, what we feel and what we say comes into existence. So I started to play with it a little bit. I started to think and brainwash myself on a daily basis, because our brain doesn't know the difference between what's reality and what isn't. Neville Goddard dives into this extremely well, about brainwashing ourselves that life was a certain way in our past. And this is what I've done ever since, and this is how I wake up on a daily basis, and I start to really program my mind that I am a specific person. I work with a specific type of people. My content does a certain amount of impact on people's lives. And before you know it, everything starts to shift. Everything starts to match what you're thinking, what you're saying and what you're feeling. Even how I introduce myself to people. Even when I'm driving, what am I talking to myself about? What am I consuming? What music am I listening to? It's got to the point where I only listen to gospel music or classical music. The words that we use are so powerful as well. You know, I used to say things like, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and everything becomes a chore. Until I started to say, I get to do this, and you feel that positive emotion within yourself. I get to do that. I get to spend time with my family. I haven't got to do anything. The moment you say you get to do something, it's a privilege, it's a blessing. The moment you say got, it's a chore. You don't have to do anything. I have to do this, I have to do that. You don't have to do anything. The fact that you get to do things in your day are a blessing. And I really started to become conscious of my thoughts and what I was saying, and it became an obsession that there's 5 alarms that go off throughout the day, and it's to remind me to bring myself back into the moment. Where are my thoughts? How am I feeling? What am I saying? And if there's any times that I catch myself lying to myself or speaking negatively to myself, I apologise all the time. And I make sure that I'm constantly putting myself into a state of love, joy and enlightenment. Because there's been so many negative situations that have manifested into reality. You know, like I always check toxic people, always find myself in these situations, chaos, drama. And before you know it, your life is just completely filled with it. Our thoughts shape our reality. There's so much science out there to prove it. Have a think now about your thoughts, what you say, what you think, what you feel, and the type of stuff that you're consuming. Because the amount of demonic stuff that we have coming into our brain will make us feel trapped, anxious, nervous, depressed, down. But if all you have is positive, amazing, emotional things coming into your brain, you're going to feel, lo and behold, positive, amazing, and high emotional. Start to dial in, start to become really specific as to what you're allowing into your brain, what you're thinking and what you're saying, and just watch how much your life will change.